Well, hello there, and I do hope you're all well, and I do hope you all had a fantastic weekend, and I do hope you all had a good chuckle at the expense of Tommy 10 names. Anyway, that's not about this. This is about a call where you could basically say that Nick Abbot, he got a call from a guy who's a bit of a Bodger fan. But it goes with a bit of a difference because he starts off with saying, I'm going to shock you now, I'm not going to vote ever again. Basically, this is the first time I'm never going to vote. And when he asks the reason why, it just basically goes downhill from there. And it just goes from stupidity to more stupidity. Enjoy.
Let's have Bletchingley. Hello, Mark.
Hi.
Mark.
Hello.
Yes, Mark.
I wasn't actually to comment on the last caller, but no, I'll leave that. Well, about daylight time.
Oh, yeah.
Years ago, we actually tried it once.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And the farmers complained, everyone complained.
God, the farmers. What difference does it make to farming? Cows don't know what time it is.
No, well, precisely. In fact, I would have seen it as they've got more hours, and the parents complain about kiddies going to school in the dark. Well, you go home in the dark, or you come back in the dark.
Precisely.
It doesn't matter what you do.
Yeah.
It's rubbish. I mean, keep changing this time screws us all up.
It does.
Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, the accidents go through the roof around about the time that the clocks change twice a year. Because people are wandering around in a daze. They don't know whether they're up or down.
Absolutely. It's so ridiculous, and it's time they stopped it.
It
but
is.
There you go.
Yeah.
That ain't going to happen, is it?
No.
my main point is, this year is the first time I've decided I'm not voting for anyone because...
What?
Yeah. What for?
Oh, come on now. What for? You have to vote. Pick one.
What for?
Mike, if you say what for one more time. Yes.
Do me a favour.
The Labour Party do me a favour. OK, all right.
Do me a favour. I'm not going to vote for them.
Right, OK. Why not?
Keir Starmer, I cannot stand.
Why not?
Because he's detestable.
In what way?
Because he's arrogant.
He's arrogant?
Yeah.
What makes you say that?
Well, the way he speaks. The way he puts things across. He's arrogant.
He's arrogant.
He is a lawyer.
Yeah. But half the cabinet are lawyers.
Direction. Now, Boris, look, I think he's had a hard time.
Oh,
people
please.
Don't realise it. He has had a hard time.
Are you kidding me? How has he had a hard time? He's been having the time of his life.
Well, you got to take a bit of fun in between, haven't you? If not, where do you stand? Look, he's had Brexit to try and finish off. Then we had the coronavirus.
What, that Brexit that he had an oven-ready deal ready to go, then it's still not set yet.
Did that once.
Well, get Brexit done, he said, and it's still not done.
But who else is going to sort anything out? I mean, the Labour Party have failed every time they've been in.
In what way?
Well, they've left us with unemployment through the roof.
No.
Empty coffers.
No.
No?
Well, not compared to the Conservative Party, no.
Well, you must live on a different planet to me.
Well, give me an instance, Mark, rather than just these vague assertions that it would be better if we were under the Labour Party. This is just a series of whatabouts. A bunch of sounds signifying
Labour.
Nothing.
No, I'm not saying we're better off under the Labour. I'm saying we're worse off.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Well, no, you didn't. You said...
All right, so I misspoke. Obviously you're saying we would be worse off under Labour. That's what you've just said.
Yeah.
Right. But you're not backing it up by anything other than this airy ideas of it would be worse.
Let's say...
Without actually backing any of it up.
In my 74 years, Labour, even though we used to vote for them, have never done any good.
Again, this is absolute nonsense, Mark. This makes no sense. You know it makes no sense. They've never done any good to the NHS, for instance.
Well, they started it, but they didn't get it finished very well, did they?
They didn't get it finished very well. I don't know why I'm wasting my time, Mark, because nothing you're saying actually makes any sense. Are you aware of that? They're just sort of vague assertions based on no information of any kind whatsoever. What are you talking about, man?
Nick?
Yeah, I think that's it in a nutshell. Yeah. Okay, good idea, Mark. Don't vote. I support you in that endeavour of not voting.
Yeah, I'm in total agreement and all. I don't think he should vote either. I'm not sure he's... well, he might be an intelligent bloke, but clearly he's been absolutely put through the ringer by the right-wing rags. And I'm going to do something a little bit different on this video. Usually I'll spout me nonsense about fruitcakes or barn cakes or whatever at the end, but I'm going to leave it here because after the break, Nick has his little rant and whatnot, and then he goes to a call from, I think, Guildford in Peyton, and he said something that's quite interesting. I think it's quite true. When he said, because he basically says that this guy is the success story of the right-wing Tory papers. They've absolutely just brainwashed him. Now, I understand why people, if you don't want to vote Labour, it's fair enough. You know, if it's not in your best interest to vote Labour, you might be in a constituency where it's either Conservative or Liberal Democrats. Yeah. So it's not a problem, and I'm not advocating you have to vote Labour, even though I think if you want to get rid of the Tories, unfortunately, that's the way it goes, our first past the post system. But the thing is, when after that, Peter just summed it up more beautifully than I ever could. So I shall leave the video, whatever I have to say here, and I will let Pete just say what I couldn't say any better. I thought Pete was absolutely brilliant. So, after Pete's had his say, I shall leave the video there. And until the next time, I shall bid you farewell. So, take care.
Mary says their party was probably... the Tories party was probably to celebrate their unrequested salary increase. You can't make this stuff up. Yeah. It really is like gaslighting on steroids, isn't it? Yeah, we've just had fines for having a party, and what are we going to do? We're going to have another party to celebrate. Amazing. We're going to go to one of the world's most expensive hotels to celebrate to drinking a wine that costs at least 60 quid a bottle on the very day that millions of people are plunged into poverty in this, the fifth richest economy in the world. And people like that last caller are going, oh, yeah, well, what would it be like under Jeremy Corbyn, under Labour? What have they ever done? What have they ever done? Introduce the national minimum wage, put 14,000 more police on the streets in England and Wales, cut crime by 32%, funding for every pupil in England doubled between 97 and 2010. 85,000 more nurses, 32,000 more doctors. These were real nurses and real doctors, by the way, not the fantasy numbers that the Tories pluck out of the air.
86%, 5 million. And
you know, stuff like that. They fill the air with noise and numbers signifying nothing. Devolved power to the regions. 1 million pensioners lifted out of poverty. Free eye test for the over 60s. Funded the NHS by a record amount above inflation. All of the above has plummeted under the Conservative Party's tenure, the most recent, 12 blooming years, and yet we've still got that last bloke saying, essentially, it's all Labour's fault. Amazing. The stupid is strong with that one. Guildford, hello, Peter.
Hello, Nick. How are you?
Great, mate.
As regards to the last caller, I thought to myself, I tell you what, he's one of the right-wing press's success stories. He's fallen for all of it.
All of it. Every single bit of it.
What did Labour do, he said?
Yeah.
It gave us one of the most important things in this country, the National Health Service, the welfare state, plus all the other things that you've alluded to. In the 1970s, they brought in the Redundancy Act so that people could get redundancy when they were made redundant. And what I'm fascinated by is that people are moaning now left, right and centre, and they've got absolutely right to moan because they're being ripped off by money men with the help of the Tory party. But they've got to look at themselves as well. Those that voted Conservative have got to hold themselves responsible because we knew what this man was like years ago. Yeah. We had the austerity, we had the welfare cuts and all the rest of it. And they still voted for a liar. And they knew what was coming.
Well, I must have heard 1,000 times, we know what we were voting for. And so they must actually like what they got, because they could have predicted all of this, apparently.
Yeah, you can be a Brexiteer, right? You can be a left-wing Brexiteer. But the one thing you never do, all those northern voters out there that voted Tory, you can be a left-wing Brexiteer. But the one thing you never, ever do is vote Tory. The people that helped shut the coal mines down.
Well, let's not... industry. Yeah, you know what? Nobody really should be working in a coal mine. I'm not really that sad that we
but you know what I mean. They destroyed our manufacturing.
They absolutely did. Yeah, because Margaret Thatcher's idea was, instead of all of these dreadful people, all these dirty fingernail people earning money, it'd be much better if all the money was concentrated in the hands of white-collar people just moving numbers around on a screen. And you fast forward to now, and we don't make hardly anything in this country anymore. I think we make chemicals and what are euphemistically called machines, which I think are weapons. I think that's what they are. They call them machinery, and it's a suspiciously large amount. You think, well, what's all that machinery for? I think it's bombs and bullets, stuff like all the exciting accoutrements of death. That's pretty much all we make now. But I don't know, maybe not in the future, because that whole globalisation thing, that's not looking so great these days, is it? Because there's a lot of crazy people running countries, sadly. Not too far from where I'm standing right now, as a matter of fact. Thanks a lot, Peter.